Hello everyone, welcome back to TDO. In today's session, we're gonna be kicking the crap out of the curves. And by that I mean by moving from this sharp corner to the curve. Now, let's say on your drawing, on your given drawing, like the question on the structure, maybe they are saying you have to reproduce the drawing. And that drawing has corners like this. It has curves, in fact, not corners. If it has a curve like this instead of a corner, and then there is a given radius pointing exactly at the curve, it means that you have to reproduce the curve exactly as it's given using the given radius. So you have to convert the sharp corner to the curve. And that's where I come in because I'm here to show you exactly how to do that. Now, in order for you to come up with a curve like that, there are three steps that you have to follow. The first step, you have to create a parallel lines. The second step, you get the perpendiculars. The third step, which is the last step, you create your curve. You complete the whole drawing by creating the curve. So let's start constructing without wasting any time. Since we're given a 10 radius curve there, so in order for you to come up with the parallels, the first thing that you do, you take your compass, you open it up to 10 millimeters. Everything that you're gonna do, it will have to be guided by the given radius. So since our radius is 10, you're gonna open your compass to 10 millimeters. You place it anywhere on the line. You create an arc that is gonna be created at 10 millimeters. You shift along your line, you shift to the right. We need two curves. Make sure that both of your arcs are created using a 10 millimeter radius. The next thing that you do, you place your compass on the other line, on the second line. Since we're joining two lines here, we are done working with this line, and now you shift over to this vertical line. You place your compass anywhere, you open your compass up to 10 millimeters radius, you make an arc. After that, you do the same thing that we did on our horizontal line. You make another arc. So in order for us to get the parallel of this line, we're going to be using these arcs. And then to get the parallel of the horizontal, we're going to be using those arcs. Why am I saying we're going to use the arcs? Because we're going to have to draw another line that is going to be a tangent to this arc and that arc. Automatically, that line is going to be parallel to the vertical. Same thing applies on your horizontal. So let's come up with a line that is going to be a tangent there and there, which means it's going to have to touch the curve right on the top and the second curve right on the top. And then after drawing your line, make sure that it passes all the way to your horizontal. And then after completing your vertical parallel line, you're going to have to produce the next one, which is going to be the horizontal parallel. Same thing applies. It has to be a tangent at this arc and that arc. Same thing applies. You do exactly the same thing that you did. Now, let me remove all the dimensions so that everything is going to be clear. Remember, I said you come up with the parallels, and then after the parallels, you come up with the perpendiculars. So in this case, we have the parallel for the vertical. We also have the parallel for the horizontal. Now, by perpendiculars, I mean that from where your parallel lines meet, you're going to have to produce the perpendiculars. So these parallels and this parallel, they meet right there on that point. So you're going to have to make that point where they meet right there. So from this point, you're going to have to come up with the perpendiculars. But take note that we already have the perpendicular here, which is making 90 degrees with the vertical, and we have another perpendicular here, which is making 90 degrees with the horizontal. That is why I said you should draw your lines long enough so that they can touch the opposite line. So you see that your vertical parallel is perpendicular with the horizontal line, and then your horizontal parallel is perpendicular with the vertical line. This is exactly how you should do it. The point where your line crosses, where your parallel crosses, and where your perpendiculars start, that is going to be the center point of your compass, which means it's going to be your station point of your compass. This is where you're going to place your compass, open it up to that point. Automatically, when you open it up to that point, it should go exactly to that point to prove your accuracy. And if it goes exactly to that point, you simply produce your curve. Remember that everything that you do before the actual drawing, you do it in faint lines. So let's go ahead and produce our curve. So you take your compass, you place it at your station point, you open it up to one of the points. So automatically you can see that if I place it there, it's gonna go and touch on the bottom point there. So which means everything is accurate, everything was done accurate. So you should also make sure that on your drawings also everything is accurate like that. So you place it on the first point, you draw an arc that's gonna touch the second point. So after your arc touches the second point, you can completely carry on with the original lines. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how you come up with a curve that is joining two lines, which is a vertical and a horizontal. This is how you do it. Now, these faint lines over there, you don't erase anything because they're gonna have to see how did you come up with the curve. So in order for you to prove to them that you actually constructed the curve using the required methods, you're gonna have to leave those faint lines out there. Now, let's say the case has changed. Let's say now the lines are no longer making a 90-degree angle to each other. Now it's an angle that is smaller than 90 degrees, but they still require you to come up with the curve there. You should remove the corner and come up with a smooth curve, given the same radius of 10. All right, now this is not scary at all. You just simply apply the very same thing that you did on the previous case, which means you have to come up with a parallel for this line, and then you have to come with another parallel for that line. After joining those parallels, you create the perpendiculars, and then you use that very same center point to come up with the curve. So let's do just that. You take your compass, you open it at the radius of 10, you make the first curve, and then you shift it to any point along the line also. You make the second curve to come up with a parallel. And then the next thing you do, you shift over to the angled line, you place your compass. There is nothing new, nothing different. You open it up to 10 millimeter radius, you make an arc, you shift to another point, you make another arc. So now you've produced all your arcs to come up with the parallels. So without wasting any time, you draw the parallels. Remember, when you're drawing the parallels, it's a tangent to this point, and that point also is going to be parallel to this line. Same thing applies. You place your ruler. As soon as your ruler touches the top of that arc and the top of that arc also, that's going to mean the line you're going to draw is going to be parallel to that line also. Now, in this case, there is no need for you to drag out the parallel all the way to touch the angled line because it's not going to work like that. You can do it since you're going to be doing everything in faint line, but there is no need for you to make it touch there. It can end here, it can end anywhere, but it's up to you. Or maybe you can adjust it like that. It's not going to be a crime. Just make it end there. And then the next one, it should touch there and there. Create another tangent like that. So now let me zoom into the spot so that you can see everything properly. All right, now notice this point where both our parallels are crossing. The parallel that's at an angle is crossing with the horizontal parallel. You should mark out that point right there. So exactly from that point, the next step, you create the perpendiculars. That's exactly what I said. So now, in order for you to create the perpendiculars, exactly from that spot, you have to come up with the perpendicular for the horizontal and also the perpendicular for the angle. So let's do just that. The perpendicular for the horizontal is right there. And then the next one, you should create another line that's going to be perpendicular to that angle there, to that angled line. So let's do just that. So now you're already done. The next thing that you should do, you take your compass, you put it at that center, you place it on that point. Automatically, when you rotate your compass, it should come back and touch at that point so that you're going to be able to come up with your curve. So now the next thing you do, you pull up your compass, you place it on the center, you place it on the point. Automatically, it's going to go and touch on the next point. And then you know what you should do next? You complete the rest of your drawing. You see that we followed the very same steps that we did on our previous task. We also applied them here. Even if this angle was greater than 90, which is going to be an obtuse angle, you apply the very same steps to come up with that. But let me show you how, just to make sure that you understand everything correctly. Now, this is what I mean. Firstly, we started with a 90-degree angle. We followed by an acute angle. So right now we're going to close with an obtuse angle. We're going to be using the very same radius of 10 millimeters. So, you know the drill. First thing first, the parallels. All those arcs are of 10 millimeter radius. The next thing you do, you come up with the tangents to the arcs so that you can be able to create the parallels. You create the second parallel. You already know what's next. You focus on this point right there where everything meets. So that's whereby you're gonna be constructing your perpendiculars directly at that line. That's a perpendicular. And then we have to come up with the perpendicular for that line also. And we're done. The next thing you do, you take your compass, that's your center point, you open it from one point to the other. You join the curve. Simple as that. It's not a fuss really. Everything is just done plain and simple. So what I need you to do now, you just go ahead and practice these things. Do it in all those three parts. Firstly, you start with the basic one, the very basic, the 90-degree one, and then you move on to the obtuse, you move on to the acute angle. So make sure that you do these things over and over again until you get the hang of it. So we're done for today's session. The next one we're gonna be moving to circles, to joining circles with the respect of the curve, whereby we're gonna be using the very same steps of the parallels and perpendiculars, but now we're gonna be dealing with circles.